Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity, Ms. Holland, to have me here and be able to provide you with some valued information that can help you in your web business. How many of you plan on opening up your own web development company and provide website service to potential clients? Great. How many of you plan on maybe working for a company that, you can work for them to help develop websites for a company? To work for someone.
Just to let you know, we've got graphic designers in here too, so that's why it's a web design class. So I've got a bunch of graphic designers that that expect to sort of go. I'm trying to convert them to web designers.
Okay, all right, that's good. Well, today we're going to be talking about how to market yourselves so that you can get more business and get more visibility in the marketplace, as well as your clients. The people you're developing those websites for, they need a digital footprint, and that's what basically you're starting to do for them by creating your website for them. A digital footprint, what is that? Well, basically your website is your starting point of a business to create a presence on the internet. And so that they can be found, they can be seen, they can attract people to be able to find out what they can provide for them so they can make sales and revenue. But the thing is, they need to be found. All the work that you do with your CSS and your coding and all the wonderful creative things you do to create a website does no really good if it can't be seen, it cannot be found. So therefore, an entity has to have a digital footprint so they can drive people to that website. So what's some of the ways you can create a digital footprint? Well, your website is one. Anybody on social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn?
Everyone?
Yeah. Every time you create a post or content on those sites, you're creating another footprint. What we're going to be talking today is how to enlarge that footprint to its maximum capacity so that you can be found and seen and be able to drive people to the websites you're creating. So, next. 1,000 days. Now, I know you're all in your 20-somethings, right? But there's 1,000 days before the 15-year-olds are figuring out the marketplace, and they're going to basically dominate the marketplace in about 1,000 days. And you better figure out a way to market to them. And you got to be in the digital space and create a big digital footprint so that you can be found, so that you can do business with them, because otherwise you'll be working for them. There's a new digital business model, and that is a change in behavior by collaborating on the internet and with other people to help drive people and traffic to you and your websites and your content. It's today's new currency. So when you collaborate with other people, people of influence, other business owners, and the people that you meet, and you post content about them, that will increase your digital footprint, and I'm going to show you how that works. One of the biggest ways of creating content so that you can be found, so that people you talk about can be found, so therefore when they find them, they find you, is blogging. And blogging, anybody blogging currently, right now, anywhere?
They're shy sometimes. Nobody blogs in here?
Nobody blogs?
Has anybody ever blogged? You used to? You haven't done, do you blog?
I used to.
You used to? A few people used to?
Well, I'm going to show
blog?
you that blogging...
Dre blogs.
I'm going to show you that blogging is an essential part of your marketing strategy, because blogging is more content, information, and articles that basically express the information that they need to know about you and the information that you're talking about, whether it's your business, someone else's business, a person of interest, a product or a service.
And even if you don't blog, your clients might. I have a lot of clients that blog, and so understanding how it can be helpful to your clients is important.
It's important not just for you to understand the value of blogging, but like Tina said, or Ms. Howland said, having your clients understand the value of blogging is going to increase their digital footprint, their exposure, so that they can drive people to their website through blogging and give them more credibility. It's an effective way of communication. Ms. Howland's talked about becoming an expert in your field. This can help you do that. When you're writing articles about specific topics that you are knowledgeable about, or you want to educate people about something of interest that you have an interest in, that will make you an expert in that field, and it gives you more credibility, and it's an effective way of communicating your expertise. And of course, it provides a platform to educate people about you. And in turn of educating people about what you know, that again will raise your credibility up the ladder. And then Ms. Helen always talks about SEO, and she talked about this morning, keywords. In a blog, there's lots of words, lots of text, and you want to pick out terms and phrases that will be picked up by the Google search engine, which is the king of the internet. You have to please Google. And when you write content with all these keywords, your content will be organically found and give you more credibility and more visibility on the web. Now, what good is content if people read your content, they see your content, they find your content, but then what? They see it, then what? There should be a call to action at the end of these articles. And that will be in the form of a web form or some kind of a form that you can capture their information of interest so that you can now follow up with them and continue the conversation, which could lead to business being done. According to Business Week and everybody else, blogs will absolutely change your business and the business of those you're working with, because it's a way to create more content other than your websites. When you're creating the websites for your clients and for yourselves, add a blog page to it and start blogging about your expertise, your subjects of interest, and everything that you can think about. And I'm going to share with you ideas of what you can be blogging about. But when you do that, it's going to drastically increase and change the exposure of your business and the ability for you to be seen. So here's some ideas and strategies of using blogging. When you're out and about, and you already have a person of influence in your life right now, that'll be Ms. Howland. She's a major web designer with a big company. She's an expert in her field. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go home and take this video asset that I'm creating right now that I'm recording. I'm going to write a blog article about you, the school, Ms. Howland, and my experience here. Now, when I put Ms. Howland in my blog post, when people are searching for Ms. Howland, guess who else they find? They find me. Right? So you want to be attached to people of influence and talk about them, because when they're looking for some other person or a subject, then they will find your content and be connected to you in that way. You can do reviews. If you have an interest in technology or gadgets, someone talked about a PlayStation 4, do a review about that PlayStation 4, what you think about it, what's your experience with it, how do you like it, what don't you like about it over the PlayStation 3 or the 2. These are the things that you can create content about that makes you an expert and knowledgeable about whatever it is you want to talk about. Review books, review products, review a movie. Anything you can do that can attract people, because the more content you put out there, the more things you talk about, the more you'll be able to be found on the internet. There's a lot of people in business that are asked questions over and over again. What is SEO? How do you design a website? What kind of content should I put on my website? How should my website look? What's the cost, right? So I suggest that you create content that answers these questions, that leverages your time, because you don't have time to be answering these questions over and over again. So when you create articles and content that answers these questions automatically, put it on your website, put it on social media, put it somewhere where people can find it, and all you do is drive people to that content, and you don't have to answer those questions over and over again. You want to have content that's current. You want to have content that's relevant, and you want to put it in a place that's trusted. So that way, and I'll explain what that means, but that's criteria for a good blog post. A lot of people network to do business. They'll go to chambers of commerce, they'll go to networking groups, they'll go to meetups, they'll go to different places where they can meet people. And that's important, because the more people you know, the more people you surround yourself with, the more people you collaborate with, that can drive a lot more attention and visibility to you physically. But there's a way to do this virtually that will save you a lot of time. And this is a new way of actually networking you and your business digitally and virtually. So all you need are these components to do that. You would need a camera, a webcam or any kind of video camera. Everyone's got a camera on their phones, right? Create digital content with video. But anybody familiar with Google Hangout? This is a tool that you should be familiar with and start using. Google Hangout is a free video conferencing tool. So I could make an arrangement or an appointment like I would. You know, a lot of times you make an appointment to meet somebody in a coffee shop so that you can get to know each other, get to know each other's businesses, get to know, you know, the possibility of doing business together. So I'm going to schlep to a coffee shop, get in my car, fight traffic, get to the coffee shop, and hope the person I'm meeting is on time, or even shows up at all, right? But when they do, we sit and speak and we talk about what we're going to talk about for an hour or so. What happens to that conversation when we're done? When we go home, back in our cars, what happens to our conversation? Anybody?
Forget it. Forget what you said.
Well, it disappears. No longer can you hear that conversation anymore. That content that you talked about is gone, vanishes, because it's in person live. What if you could get on a Google Hangout, a video conference, where Tina's in her office, I'm in my office. We have a virtual digital video conversation talking about the same things we would do in that coffee shop. What if you could take that conversation and get it saved to your YouTube channel? When it's saved to your YouTube channel, now you have a digital asset, right? Which you can put on your website, put on social media, put in your blog post. And now you've got more exposure and utilizing and repurposing that conversation forever. So it saves you time and energy, and eventually will save you money. So it's important to create these digital assets. This is exactly what I'm doing today. I'm recording myself. I'm creating a video digital asset that people, the more people, wouldn't it be fair to say that when I put this video on my blog post, on social media, on my website, that more people than just the people in this room will see it over time? Right? That's leverage. So that's what you want to start doing, is create digital assets in the form of video, in the form of content, in the form of the blog. You see the value in that? Okay, so when you publish your content, and I'm sure Ms. Helen is a fan of WordPress, I'm sure she's teaching you on that platform. It's an open platform, and it's really a good platform because it's open source, so that there's no barriers, there's no restriction on content that's published on this type of platform. If you're using a blog platform, there's lots of them out there, that uses subdomains. In other words, you have a domain under a main domain of a company or a blogging platform. You're now in a house with all the doors and windows closed. So it makes the blog content you post on that site very difficult for the Google crawlers to find your content and index them. So it's highly unlikely that your content will be found, web-wide. So when you publish on a WordPress platform, now you've got an open doors. All the doors and windows are open, and all the Google crawlers can go in there and find all your little keywords, find your pictures, find your video, and index them a lot quicker and more effectively. So there's 4 components to a blog post. This is how I blog. So there's 4 components. The first component is a featured image. This is to attract the viewer's attention so that when they see the blog post, that nice image is the first thing they see. They'll say, oh, that's kind of cool. Let's look at this more. The second component is video. So I'm going to make a featured image, which I will create, and I will attach the video that I'm creating right now and put it on my blog. And then I'm going to start typing all my text with all my keywords. I'm going to, put, Sac College on there. I'm going to put Tina Howland in my blog post. I'm going to mention as many things that I can that the people that are possibly looking for those people and things might show up organically in the search engines because I'm using those keywords. So I'm going to write an article about you, what you're doing here, that you're graphic designers, you're aspiring web designers, and what you're doing here with the value you're getting here, and all the things that Ms. Howland is teaching you, and the fact that I'm here adding more content, helping you learn more to expand your application of how you run your business. And it doesn't matter if you're a web designer, graphic designer, or whatever industry you're in, this can be applied to anybody. in any industry. So I'm going to write a lot of text. Okay, so the video is for the viewer, okay, because not everyone's going to read all that text. The text is basically for Google. Google uses that text so that you can be found. But given that you may not, a viewer may not read all the things you do, the video will be for the viewer to really accentuate what you wrote about. And then you're going to have at the bottom a call to action, so that once they have an interest in what they are now seeing and reading about, now they want to maybe get in touch with the person who wrote the blog, maybe get in touch with the person who the blog is about, or something, so that there's a way to capture someone's interest once they've seen your content. So I'm going to show you an example of a blog that I've done. This is a blog that I did about a woman that I met and have worked with, and she's an author. I don't know if you know the book Chicken Soup for the Soul. She was the co-author of this. She's written many, many books. She has an incredible story behind her. I won't get into that, but she's a great person of influence. And she hires me to do her video content whenever she speaks. And so I went ahead and blogged about her, and that's a picture of her, her book. You can see all the text that I wrote about her, her picture. Okay, so more text, more images. There's her video. That's the presentation that she did. So now anybody searching for Diana Wentworth will most likely see this content and now be attracted to her. And when they're attracted to her, guess what? They're attracted to me as well, because I'm the author, right? So do you see the value of how this all kind of works when you're trying to promote yourself? And when you promote others, you're actually promoting yourself. And here's the call to action at the very bottom. If you have an interest in contacting Diana to speak at your event, or if you have an interest in learning about her books, or anything, then guess what? This is connected to a CRM, which is a customer management system. And this way, and there's lots of platforms that can create a form like this. I use several different ways to create this form, but it goes into a contact list. And if you're using an email platform, or a marketing platform, if you're using a CRM, there's several of them out there. There's Salesforce. I use a CRM called Mothernode, and it's a way to manage all the people that fill in this form, so I know I now have a new lead and opportunity to do business, or at least connect with someone who has an interest in what I posted. It's all well and good to put content out there, but if you don't have a way to connect with the people seeing your stuff, then you're kind of selling yourself short. Additionally, there's a way to share your blog. At the bottom, there's a way to share. And by the way, there's a bio about the person who posted the blog. So now they're learning more about me as well. And then at the bottom, there's several ways to share the blog post on social media. What's cool about this is that you can, if you have different accounts on Facebook, like if you have a business page or a personal page, I can actually change who I'm posting this comment on as me personally, or me as my XposureBiz business page. And those posts and this blog post will show up as a post on Facebook, on either page, whatever I choose. So now I'm giving more exposure to this content through social media. Any questions so far? If I'm going too fast, do you have any questions? Please, this is interactive. I'm not just here to lecture to you. I really want your feedback. I'd like to know what you're thinking. I'd like to know if you have any questions. So feel free to jump it right in. Okay, so I went ahead and did an experiment yesterday, and I searched two people. I searched me, Bruce Waterman, and I searched Diana Wentworth. And here's what I found. I found Bruce Waterman over here, and on the fourth page, organically on the fourth page, my blog post showed up about Diana. Organically, when I searched for Diana Wentworth, there's my blog post about her on the fifth page. I didn't do anything. Now, the reason why it shows up so highly on the rankings, think of this. There's trillions and trillions of pages on the internet, right? And for these two blog posts to show up on the fourth and fifth pages of Google is pretty huge. And the reason why is that I happen to use a blog platform that's highly recognized, highly trusted by Google, because it's a digital network called DNet, dnettv.com, where it's a collaboration of all people in business that all participate and post their content all in one place. So because there's so much new content on the site all the time, your blog post and your content gets indexed on Google a lot quicker, faster, and higher, even higher than your own website. I have done blog posts for clients who the blog posts that I posted for on this platform outranked their website in a couple of days. Pretty cool. So that's why I say if you want to get your content out there faster and quicker and be seen, you want to be in a collaborative environment where you can join in the party so that you can help your content be found quicker when everyone else. So anybody know about the Huffington Post? The Huffington Post is a newspaper type of thing, an online newspaper, and there's a collaboration of reporters and content writers and article writers, and they all contribute to this website as far as the news. And because there's a collaboration of all these different people putting content in one place, and it's always new and fresh, that content always shows up very highly in Google. So that's really kind of a thing to keep in mind. I mean, you can certainly put all these blog posts on your own website, but how much traffic is it getting? Who's really seeing that? But if you find a platform or a place where you have the advantage of being able to push your content higher, then that is something I suggest you look into. So the next thing is the power of blogging for success. And blogging uses the power of Google so that your content is found and seen. That's the whole point. It helps create a larger footprint other than just the content on your website. You now have a digital asset that creates a return on investment because now you have a call to action at the end of it. And it's a new way of networking. So you're using digital networking in the form of video, using video conversation, testimonials. So if I did a video conference with Ms. Helen, and I did a testimonial about the work she does and the work she does here in this classroom, and the work she does professionally in a web design company, she can take that testimonial and make a blog post out of it, and now she's got a third-party validation. So it's a great way to get a return on investment on your digital assets. And it's a new way of networking because now I'm networking with people virtually, creating content, and be able to use it as a digital asset and an article in the form of a blog post. And of course, all uses basic organic SEO so that your content can be found. And of course, this helps you outsmart the 15-year-olds. There's another strategy that I'd like you to be aware of. Everyone knows about what a mobile app is. Everyone's got a cell phone, and everyone's playing games and doing all kinds of things. What is this, Candy Crush and all those things? But there's actually a way for a business to have their own mobile app. And mobile app is a great adjunct to your websites that you're creating because it's basically a way to keep your customers and clients off of Google so that they don't find your competition. They carry you around in their hip pocket, and now you have a way to have a conduit between you and your customers by using this mobile app. Show you what it looks like. Here's a restaurant. So there's lots of industries that use business mobile apps, and of course you can choose whatever functionalities you want. But you can also put your blog posts as part of this, connect with people on your social media. There's a Facebook thing on there somewhere. You can share the mobile app various different ways. But what's really cool about a mobile app and the value of a mobile app is a way to communicate with your customers and clients that download your app. Now you've got them captive, and you have an audience that you can communicate with through push notifications. Anybody know what a push notification is? Push notification is basically a text message that you send out through the app to everyone who has your app. So that's more effective than even an email because now you've got a person who has your app that is now getting your text messages, which is read 98% of the time. And emails are not read as high, maybe 30% see the emails you send out. But when you send out a text message through your mobile app, now you're communicating with people, and there's no reason for them to go online to find you. They already have you in their hip pocket. And it's also a cool factor. How cool is it to walk up to somebody and say, do you have my mobile app? I'm in business, this is what I do, I'm a web designer. Download my mobile app, how cool is that? And of course now you're going to have more credibility and more traction with a customer who wants to connect with you. So like I said, let's see, oh, where am I here? Okay, one more. So do you have any questions or anything that I've talked about?
If they don't, I have a couple. You guys have any questions? There's a lot of informative stuff here.
What I invite you to do is to connect with me. I have some forms in the back that if you'd like to take one, fill it out. Let's do a Google Hangout together. I'll show you how it works. I'll show you how you can utilize it. We can have a virtual conversation. We can save it, and I can make you or I can make a blog post out of it. And now we have additional digital asset to utilize to get more exposure for you and for me. So if you're interested, I have forms in the back to fill out. Love to connect with you. Yes?
What do you do when you have a client that just does not want to listen to you when you know that something is not going to work? Like it could be anything from a design to a marketing strategy or just anything in regards to marketing or...
Okay. So a friend of mine has a saying, you can be right or you can be rich.
You get to make the choice.
Yeah, so if they don't want to listen, they know better. I mean, you're the experts in your field, right? You know about marketing, you know about how to best design their websites for optimum searchability and visibility and design and content. And they're hiring you to do this for them. Why would they question your abilities? So I think that maybe when you get a question like that or a client that isn't responsive to your suggestions, your expertise, they either need more education or they need to do it themselves. Yes?
One of my professors was like, if you get a client like that, you just do the work. Since they are paying, you just take the money and you just don't show anybody that you did the work for them.
Well, the thing is, you know, that's nice. Getting the money is fine, but you want to have credibility. You want to be able to show that the work you're doing is credible and effective, and you're providing a service for a client that's supposed to do something for them. So you know, you can go within their guidelines of what they want, of course, but you're the expert. They hired you as the expert, and I think you need to present yourself as that. And when you're the expert, then they're more open to listen to what you have to say. Some are, more bullheaded in what they want. That's okay, but you're the advisor. Yes.
And before you go on to another topic on this topic, I wanted to say something real quick. Did you have another topic, or was it on this one? If you don't mind if I just add on to that just a little bit, because that is a very important subject for the class. You will run into a complete variety of clients. Some that want you to just take on and do everything because you're the expert, and some that will argue with you about every detail. And what you learn with practice and with experience are ways to handle these situations. Generally, a design studio or a web design studio will juggle those two elements. So let's say if you have a client that they think they know what's best and they want it done their way, but you really think that doing it another way would be better, you'll learn that as the expert, there are ways to go in and discuss these things with them without being condescending or without being rude or anything like that, because they are the client also. Just like if you go to get a haircut, you know, that person may tell you, this really would look better on you, but you're not always going to listen. But you do want their expert opinion. You do want to know what they're saying. And what I've learned is I sit down and I go through an honest discussion with them. At the end of the day, they are paying the bill. And if they're paying for a service, they do get to have what they want. If you know ahead of time that it's going to be a bomb, you cannot do the job to begin with. But if it's something like they want to use a certain font and you think something else would look better, it's your job to guide them towards what works well. Make sure they know what works well. And if they really want something else, you do have to let them have a say. And I've worked in studios where no, you got to do it our way. And some where oh, well, we don't care, we just want the money. Like I've worked on both sides, in studios on both sides of those issues. And you need to come to your own point of a happy medium. when it's a situation that you think will really cause a problem, let's say a technical problem with the website, so maybe the website won't work properly, then what I have done in the past is make sure it's documented. That I have suggested, and maybe the developers have suggested, that this process really won't work and it's going to take twice as long or something like that. Does that make sense? As a little add-on into that?
Absolutely. And yes, I saw another question.
Yeah, Melissa had a question.
If I had a website and I'm just starting out in the business, obviously I'm not an expert in my field yet, so should I wait on blogging? What would I have to say?
No, don't wait, because there's lots of things that you know about that nobody else does. So you know, like I say, review, think, or create content of things that you already know. And then the more you do, here's the thing, the more content you create, the bigger your footprint. And it doesn't matter what it's about. But of course, you want to talk and keep it relevant to you and what you're trying to do and accomplish and educate people about. But you've got a wealth of knowledge you're getting from this class. Blog about that. You can go home and talk about the topics of the day. Talk about my presentation. Talk about Ms. Helen's. Talk about organic search keywords. You know how that works. Email marketing. Whatever you picked up from this class, go home and blog about it. Right? So you're educating yourself as you do it, but you're also educating everybody else. And now you're going to be more attractive to people because you have some things they need to know. Right? Yes?
Do you have a website where you blog for yourself?
Yes, like I said, I blog on this DNet platform because it's the most effective way to get my content out there and highly ranked very quickly. And I get found and get a lot of response from that.
How much time do you spend each day blogging?
I spend about an hour a day, you know, and I may not do it every day. I only blog when I have something relevant to talk about, something I find important. And I'm so excited to be able to go run home and blog about this today because I have lots of people who are knowing that I'm presenting today and want to see the result and learn about my experience here. So those people are going to look at my content and share that content like crazy. This blog post, this video, is going to go viral because I have quite a large network, relatively speaking. So the more that your network, bigger your network, the more people that know about what you're doing, the more content you put out there. Have you heard of these videos that come out that someone just creates a video on YouTube and all of a sudden it just explodes within a few days, right? So it's a matter of consistent, you know, publishing and content, and the more you do, whether it's on social media, YouTube, and your own websites, wherever you like to blog, the more you put out there, the more bigger impact you have, and the deeper the footprint is. Yes?
Explain a little bit more about DNet.
Yeah, basically it's a website that is a centralized place for all business professionals to go and post their blog content on. And because there's so many people, I mean, it gets about 10,000 hits a week. So it's highly, you know, seen and ranked. And because so many people are putting fresh new content constantly, Google loves that, and of course the content gets picked up very, very quickly. There is a small cost to be able to do this, but then again, you get a return on your investment when you put your content on there, because you're going to get other people that are on this network. Think of it as a digital chamber of commerce, where you're actually collaborating with all these other people. You're reading their blog posts, they're reading yours, and sometimes, a lot of times, there is a match where people work together based on what they're putting out on the site. And the cost is minimal. It's like $40 a month. And there's no contract, so you don't like it, you know, you can not do it anymore. You can ask me about that if you like. But I find that a great place of value because I can put all that blogging content on my own website or anywhere else, but because this site is so highly ranked and so much content all the time, it's the best place for me to be, for people to see what I'm doing. Yes?
Esperanza, I'll go afterwards.
I don't know how it was when you or Tina were in school, but for us right now, there's a big problem.
It was the dark ages for me.
right now there's a huge problem, like when I was looking for work and I would be interested in developing my web design and graphic design experience, there were a lot of companies that were just advertising unpaid internships or work that was unpaid. And I don't know about everyone else, but I don't have rich parents, I don't have a trust fund, I don't have money just sitting there that I can live off of. So how do you combat people who just don't wanna pay, students or people that they just don't wanna pay for a service, yet they want quality?
Well, I believe that everyone has to pay their dues. And so sometimes it's good experience just to be able to do something at little or no cost, just so you can get your foot in the door. Because once you have a body of work to show, now it raises your experience, it raises your skills, and it shows, it builds your portfolio of work so that other people that are willing to pay for what you do, based on what they're seeing, that the content and the web design that you've already done for free, now they're seeing something of your capability. Now if they see a value in that, then the next step will be that they'll be willing to pay you. So make the investment.
Yeah, and I'm going to tag on to that too, because it, again, is important for this class. I think that I've mentioned in here, when obviously everybody knows I started out as an illustrator, but when I went back to school and I picked up the web design skills, I walked into a studio literally and said, I want to work for you for free for 3 months. It wasn't full-time, it was part-time. So I'm already making money illustrating, and working anyways, but I needed a portfolio and I needed an experience from a design studio. And they said absolutely. And I worked for them for 3 months and then they hired me. And again, it was part-time. I didn't spend all my time doing this. But those 3 months of work paid much more down the road than had I not done that. After that studio, I walked into a studio called DNA Studio at the time. And they were a powerhouse studio that we built movie websites. I did the Elektra Records website. I did websites that had I not done this, I never would have gotten in the door. I had a great portfolio. I came out of a good art school. That was key. But I didn't have the web experience. So I went in and I did my 3 months. In addition to that, there were a couple of projects. That's the studio that I did the first, the 3 months for free. They did a certain kind of work. And I rounded it out by, I had a girlfriend that was a singer. And I went to her and said, let me do your website. So I did a couple of other things that were key that when I went into DNA, they said, great, she can work, she's done this, she has experience, and I got hired in kind of at the price I wanted at that point in time. It's really key to understand that can be part of your education. Don't let people take advantage of you on the other side of it. If you get somebody coming to you just saying, well, I want this done for free, that's a completely different story. Your time is valuable. But there's a difference between doing something for your own education and furthering yourself, and then just doing something because somebody thinks that they want something for free. So, and I'm sorry to take that time out, but that's very important.
Absolutely.
That's a very important. A lot of people you know what? The competition's tough out there. Get a good portfolio. The competition is stiff, and if you don't walk in with something really valid to show people and to compete with, somebody else will. Somebody else who's hungrier will.
There was I belong to a networking group, and a long time ago there was a web designer in this group, and he talked about web design, he talked about all the things he does, but I never saw anything. I never saw what he did. I never saw any examples of his work. So how referable was he? Because I had no clue. So I think if you need to make the investment to start creating some websites and content that people can, that demonstrates your ability, do 5 or 6 websites, and it's good practice for you to actually be in a real world situation where you're actually working for someone and doing it as if they were a paid client, but now you're getting the experience of what it's like, and then the result will, push you up to a point where you will get paid, because now you have something to show. You have something visual to show people your abilities.
And it doesn't have to take long. You set a certain amount of time and you're going to build a few things, and there you go.
Yeah. One other thing I forgot to mention about the blog post is that this is really important right up here. This is the title of the blog post, And the title is really important to put those certain keywords in there, because that's the first thing that Google looks at as part of your blog. So I've got my name in there. People do search for me occasionally. There's my company name. So when people are looking for XposureBiz, once they met me, they might want to go search for me. So that will kick up my, that'll show up on when they're searching for that. And of course, I've got Diana Wentworth's name in there. Everyone looks for her. She's very highly recognized and very prominent. So when they're searching for her, as you saw, this blog post, just a little piddly blog post showed up on the 5th page of her name being searched. Heart is another keyword. People are looking for heart because she has an experience with heart attacks and heart health. And so when people are looking for that's another keyword. So it's important to put keywords in your title. That's probably the most important part of your blog as far as search engine optimization. Yes.
I have a question regarding like celebrity and things like that.
Mhm.
The video you have on your blog, is it like a personal video that you took?
It's a presentation like I'm doing today that she
Okay.
did, and then
Yeah.
she hired me to do that for her.
Okay, because
And she uses that video on her website and in her space. But I gave her the value of getting additional exposure for her, which benefits not only her but also benefits me.
well, because like for the final or to make her own website for a client and things like that, and the client that I have, she's had celebrities at her house and they have pictures with them and stuff, and I wanted to know maybe a little bit.
Oh, you don't want to be posting stuff without people's permission.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I like the personal photos. Or I text
It's
something,
all
yeah.
about a real connection that you make.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so if you don't have a real connection, you really can't talk about them publicly.
Yeah.
And we can talk about the final project and
Well, I just meant like blogging and things like that too, though, like using personal celebrity photos or
Yeah, I just wouldn't randomly blog about
Yeah.
her without that personal connection.
Okay.
You know? So yeah, so the idea is to go out there, network, and meet people, and then again arrange a digital conversation, save it to your YouTube channel, create a blog out of it. Now you've got a digital asset, and it'll benefit all involved. Any other questions? Yes.
Your name is Bruce Waterman, right?
Yes.
So it will, when search you, have a specific name. If your name is Bruce Watermelon, does it you still, if you use your message, still will pop out in the front page?
Yeah, like I showed you earlier, I showed you a Google search for my name, and this blog post showed up on the 4th page.
If the general name like Michael, Michelle, those kind of names, a lot of people have those kind
Well,
of
it should be
names.
specific. In other words, I got my full name. There's several Bruce Watermans out there, and yes, when I did the search for my name, there's other Bruce Watermans. But the idea is that that title separates me from all the other Google searches, because someone might be interested in, oh, Bruce Waterman talked to Diana Wentworth. That's maybe of interest to people. Yes.
This is kind of related to that, but I don't know about it, but this happens to me specifically. There's a adult film actress with the exact same name as me. And she doesn't have my middle name, but she has the first and last name, and that is all that comes up.
So use your middle initial or your middle name to differentiate yourself.
Okay.
yeah, that's a great idea.
it's
I would start that immediately.
Immediately.
I would start that. Whoop, I would start that. Absolutely
Like,
everything you did, especially if she comes up a lot.
I was hoping that, because I know a lot of employers Google you to see if they come up with it. I was praying to God that they didn't think that was me.
Use
She's
your
not
middle
even
name,
from this
use your
country.
middle initial, come up with a nickname, whatever, but you need to separate yourself from that person.
Yeah, it's just, I would Google myself, and I didn't even know. Like, it was just one day out of curiosity, I was like, oh my God, this woman
Yeah.
has terrible breast.
It's interesting what you find, and it just so happens there's a
That's
Bruce
fun.
Waterman that's dead, and he shows up as obituary, right? So, but obviously they would
Yeah, but
not
it's
know
not as
that
bad
that's
as
me.
this Colombian porn star with terrible breast implants.
Wow.
Use your middle initial.
Middle initial, that's the answer
Time to
there.
make a change on that name.
I don't even know if my middle initial would make a difference, honestly, because she's.
But you know when it'll make a difference? Sometimes when you do a search and there's several names that come up, if you see a version of that name written the exact same way sometimes, so let's say it's your name, middle initial, last name, and you see that several times, you'll kind of start differentiating that from when it's used in a different way.
The other way around that is to use your company name. instead of your personal name. And here in this case, I use both. Well, I can't tell you what a pleasure.
I
Oh, yes.
have one more question, if you have the time.
Absolutely. I'm here as long as you need.
And the reason is, we are going to be, you talked a little bit about forms. We're actually learning how to build forms in the next class that we're here. So we actually build them from scratch.
Great.
We use Dreamweaver to help us build forms, and we do them in HTML, design them or style them in CSS, and we use PHP, and for the back-end scripting. So you were talking about a call to action in regards to the form. Does everybody know what he kind of means by that, by call to action, and what in regards to the form? Is there anybody who would like that expanded on a little bit? I was thinking that that might be.
Well, when you create a form from scratch, when people
Or even if you do it with a third-party application, regardless. But
Right.
the idea, I was just like that. Like, we're actually going to build it from scratch,
Right.
so you guys could use this just in the tools that we're learning in class. You can build your own form and do this. But the call to action is very important, and what it does is very important.
So when you build this form on your own, when they fill in that form, their first name, last name, phone number, email address, where does that information go? So you need to have a place to drop that information into some kind of a database. So usually these forms are connected to a CRM system, which is a customer relationship management tool, which basically takes that information and drops it into your system so that you can now manage that contact by calling them, by emailing them, by making notes about them, whatever. It can go into an email platform that you might have.
And why is this important for them to, regardless of how they do it, why is it important for them to have that form and to collect those names?
Oh, well, building a list of this information are all these people filling out that form are people of interest to you. And they have an interest in what you're doing, what you're talking about, what you're blogging about, what you're explaining. And these people need to be contacted by you. It's a new lead-in opportunity for you. Because they're already filling that form because they did that on their own to say, I want to know more. And when they want to know more, now it's an opportunity for you to continue the conversation and connect with them so that possibly that conversation could lead to a business decision. So building a list is huge. I mean, email is an email list, email marketing. If you're going to do that, it's very important to build that list. But of course, on that form, also you have a phone number. So it's very easy and simple to make sure you connect with that person. Because you send them an email, it might, who knows where it might wind up. It might wind up in their spam folder because your email is brand new to that email client. It might wind up in their spam folder, may never get seen, right? Or they just might miss it among the thousands of emails they might get. But you got a phone number. So pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, George, it's great that you saw my article. Is there anything I can do to help you understand more, answer any questions? And maybe we can have a Google Hangout and have a conversation about it so we can create a digital asset for ourselves.
Any other questions? No?
All right, well, it's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. I look forward to connecting with you. Please, if you have an interest in connecting with me, see me in the back. We'll fill out the form and we'll continue the conversation.
Did you happen to bring cards or anything that you can leave
I have
behind?
cards.
Okay, so that they can,
Whatever they want to do. I have cards.
You guys, everybody, thank
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you
Hopefully it was of
coming in.
value. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that was some really great information, right, guys? Nice to have it from a different perspective than mine, and from somebody who is a professional in the field, of web marketing. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
That was fantastic.